Fury, Usyk, here's what happened. Awesome fight, rare in the heavyweight division, picked up right where they left off in terms of action, didn't leave disappointed. Again, rare for boxing, bit of controversy when you come to the judges. Like, this had everything that boxing would need. Now, do you guys know about the controversy? Because that's a word I'm choosing to throw out there. That's not a headline that you're going to find. The only one that did not agree with the outcome was Tyson Fury. And he's not wrong. This fight's close. I felt Usyk won. The large majority of people thought Usyk won. The few people that thought that Fury won, or the fewer, lots of people, but the fewer people are not screaming foul play. Like, this was a really good fight. You turn to the judges, you all hold your breath, get the announcement. It was one of these, but there was controversy. And it turned out that of the three judges, one of them was a computer. And I didn't know this ahead of time. Did you? This may have been well disclosed. But I know when I'm having these conversations with my partners at DraftKings and I'm telling you guys to come in, had I known that, I would have revealed it. I would have thought possibly that was pertinent. And then I'm curious about it. I'm curious about how AI scores. For example, if there was a knockout, would the computer know that? And it would not be holden to have to turn in a scorecard for a knockout. Like, that is a decision of the referee, but I'm very curious what it can see. And the thoughts and the beliefs that I have as it pertains to administration are completely influenced by Mike Mazzulli, Andy Foster, and Dave Hagan here in Oregon. But whatever those guys think is what I then think. And I will just share with you, Mazzulli, Foster, and Hagan would not have done this. It would have looked more like this. Let's pick one. Let's pick Dave Hagan here in Oregon. We got this thing. It's AI. We think it can be great. We think it can be great. Okay, why do you want to use it? I mean, why are you even suggesting to me that we would change the history? And what is your argument that it would be better? That's where this would all begin. And if you could answer those questions, which you likely could, computers do a really good job. You likely could, but you're going to do it in a public setting. And you're going to have other experts, both from boxing, from the world of software, from the world of technology, and they are going to ask you questions. They are then going to want a demonstration, known as a simulation. I feel like if those things would have happened, I would have heard about it. Can't guarantee you they didn't. But I didn't hear about it. I felt like I should have. For some reason, I just felt that that should have been disclosed. So the computer program, and again, let's stay on Dave Hagan. If this was to happen in Oregon, it would not have been refused on its face. It would have had an opportunity to speak up. But if Dave decided this perhaps could do a better job than my trained officials, it would have been debuted on an amateur card. And then there would have been some inconveniences put in place. The person bringing this technology and setting this up and whatever it is they're wanting paid for that would all be disclosed. And that person would have been asked to go to a small show in the middle of nowhere where there weren't lights and cameras and action, but there was a contest that needed a fair adjudication. It would have been inconvenienced a little bit to test the sincerity that it wasn't just a display or a stunt. It would not have debuted in a main event. It would not have debuted on pay-per-view. It would not have debuted on a world title fight. It would not have debuted and played a hand in hundreds of millions of dollars in gaming. And I feel as though this got real lucky. Whew. And I'm not against technology. I must share with you, but there's not a lot of technology in boxing. I mean, this is a pretty simplistic thing. You put the gloves on, this thing can trace its back hundreds of years. Before there was rule changes or what shots were legal, it was the type of gloves you wore and how you wrapped your hands and whether you even wore gloves at all. But it never got to a level of this immense sophistication. It is amongst the purest forms of sport and competition that we have. So there is an irony that AI would be brought in to test a sport that is anything but sophisticated, is anything but technologically advanced. And the reason we got away with one here is the computer saw it the way the other judges saw it, and the mass part of our population agrees. So I guess the computer did a good job. I'm only asking what if it didn't? Which is the very reason Hagen and Foster and Mazzulli would have tested it and had a database. And they would not, in any fashion, have brought it out without a disclosure. Surprise! They just wouldn't have done that. And I feel the computer got it right. It had Usyk. I had Usyk. But there isn't just one decision being made in there. And that's where the people that can be a bit of a jerk and come down on administration, that's a little bit more where they come from. We didn't just have one thing. Let me give you a great example. What Nevada did to Conor McGregor, what they were getting ready to do to Conor McGregor, live and in front of your eyes, turning in scorecards that you can't see, the whole world's watching, you can't see these, they later get revealed, is a shocking crime. Crime is not the right word, and they shouldn't be put in handcuffs, but it was shocking incompetence. And the reason I say it's not just one thing that you get, hey computer, who won the fight? Usyk won the fight. It's not quite that simple. If you did 12 rounds, the computer's actually done 12 jobs. And we want to go back and say, did it get it right in the first round? Did it get right in the second round? Did it get it right in the third round? And that's where a little bit of the controversy comes from. The computer had a draw in 2 rounds. 2 10-10 rounds. That doesn't make it wrong. But when you're attempting to review, did this work or did not work, don't falsely look at the data as though there was one answer and what was it. That's not how this game is played. And I go back to the Conor example. There was 9 seconds left in the first round when Floyd Mayweather took a closed fist and moved it in a forward direction. Floyd Mayweather did not attempt to win the first round. He later spoke out that that was part of the strategy and his feeling. He was trying to understand Conor. He completely explained why he got dominated in the first round. Just for example, the part people don't talk about is he did the same little activity in the second round. He threw it away. He was just giving rounds away. Conor McGregor had won 4 rounds. Everybody in the building saw that. I was standing next to Teddy Atlas. And I don't mean to bring Teddy in on this, but I'm standing next to Teddy Atlas, the single greatest mind and most respected mind in boxing who was scoring the rounds. We were going into, I believe it was the 6th, when Teddy had Conor up by 4. Now, I could be misremembering that. We were going into the 8th, but either way, he had him for 4 rounds. And there was not a judge in that building that saw it the same way. And so I only bring to you, okay, great. Floyd goes out, he stops Conor. Everybody's gaming comes in exactly the way it should. It's very clear. Judges were never even called upon, so how can you possibly look to the judges? And I'm sharing with you, that's the part that you miss. They did work that night. In fact, they worked 9 times. There was 9 completed rounds. They did their job 9 times, and that is not above scrutiny. But it was never looked at. It was never talked about. Bob Bennett never called a meeting. Neither did Marnell or anybody else. And they all knew it was, but the media didn't speak up. They buried their heads in the sands. That's true. That happened. And They got away with it. They got away with it because the fight went the way it was supposed to, and therefore it was looked at by the public as well. They didn't even have to work tonight. Didn't even need those guys tonight. Well, they did work. They worked 9 times. It would be a big mistake to not break that down. Fighters make the same mistake. A fighter will look at the outcome of a match to then decide how everything went. I mean, he could have made some real mistakes in training, some real stuff. Oh my gosh, I can't do that again. But he won't. Maybe he's got the wrong people. Maybe he's got the wrong ideas in training, whatever it might be. If the outcome was favorable, everything stays the same. Very common for human beings to do, but I'm just bringing this to your attention. What do you think about it? And if it's right, if you love it, if AI is the way of the world and computers are better and a human being has never won a game of chess against a computer, like, I don't fault you for that, but if that in fact is your stance, why didn't we have all 3 of them? Why was there not 3? You would generally look for a level of consistency. If you picked 3 judges, it would consistently be 3 judges, and then you fill in the blank. Based on the card, based on what, but they would be the same. They're brand new. They've never done this before. Okay, great. And that is why they're over here at an amateur event on the first show of the night. And then there will be scrutiny, and they'll talk with the executive director afterwards, and I'll ask him what they saw and get a little feedback, and everybody will go home. There is no feedback, and there is no go home with a computer. If I'm wrong about that, who are we getting the feedback from, and who is reprogramming the computer? And this is where you start to see the problem. And I just asked you to pick a side. That's all. If AI was the right thing to do, why were all 3 of them not AI? If one of those judges was experienced and had done title fights before and had done 12-round matches and even did heavyweight matches on pay-per-view with the world watching, if one of them did the other 2? Why were the other 2 picked? And what is your answer on that? Because I don't have a final opinion. I'm not here to tell you that shouldn't have happened. I'm not here to tell you that was wrong. I'm not here to tell you that shouldn't happen again. I'm here to tell you that the great leaders of our industry, the guys that I would look to, Mazzulli, Foster, Hagen, that would not have happened. But it could have proved itself. It could have proved itself over time. And if it was the best way to do it, it would be the only way they do it. They wouldn't sprinkle a little of the best way in and then a couple of the traditional ways in and then one that's not so good, but that's why we have 3 and we add them all up. It wouldn't be done like that. And it would have been disclosed to the public. And whoever is doing that software, whatever biases they have, there would have been a public discussion on that. I think that does create a controversy. And I think it got away with one. Because the public will look at it as though that computer had one job, it saw it for Usyk, and it got that job right. But it didn't have one job. It had 12 individual jobs. And 2 out of that 12 is an extremely uncommon 10-10 round. And 10-10 rounds do happen. They are extremely uncommon. I do not know of a fight in history. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. I don't know of one where 2 10-10 rounds in one fight happened. I don't think that you do either. And maybe that speaks to the brilliance. But if in fact it does, then let's only have it. That's a better way to do it, and it's more sophisticated. Let's only have it. And I just ask, as we move forward in this, don't be a wimp about it. Don't put your foot here and put your foot there. I don't know what to do, so let's do both. No. Let's do the best one. These are very different ones. Should a computer and an AI program be judging fights or not? And if so, then it should only be done by a computer program through AI. Do you agree?